Thank you very much for having us here today. We really appreciate it. Now, as the previous speaker said, we would all like to have a fair system, and that's all that we ever wanted. My story actually started back in 2010 when I got a red light camera ticket, and it was on the right on red. And I looked at the video, and I saw that the video showed a car, but quite honestly, even to this day, I don't know if it was my car, because it was at night, and I couldn't see it was my car. So I went to what I thought would be a fair process, and I asked the judge, and I asked the assistant DA. They played the video 3 times, and I asked them, can you prove that that's my car? And they said no. They were stuttering and stammering, and they couldn't prove it. And they said, well, we have this piece of paper that has a picture of your license. I said, yes, but that's a picture of my license plate. But the video of a car making a right on red, I really don't know if that's my car. Okay? And all they said to me was, well, in other states, it's been proven to be effective, guilty, and that's it. And that wasn't fair to me. Okay? Now, as far as being a fair process, I was really dumbfounded when, as you know, because I've testified in front of you many times, that I got a copy of the contract, and in Amendment 3 that was added in 2012, Xerox was able to impose what we all agree is a quota to determine the locations of a new camera location. There is no mention in the contract about safety records or accident records. I looked throughout the entire contract, and I didn't see that. The only mention about where to choose a location, they use the phrase minimum criteria. And anywhere in the contract where you see minimum criteria, what they're specifically referencing is that the camera has to be able to produce 25 tickets on a business day between 6 a.m. and 10 p.m. So then they are also allowed to then do a site survey. And that site survey is a temporary video camera that they'll put at that proposed new location. And if they believe that that's going to produce enough tickets, then they'll put it there. Once it's in there, the other problem with it is that for each camera that doesn't produce enough tickets, then Suffolk County is obligated to pay Xerox about $2,000 a month plus $17 for each ticket that was issued. So that is a quota, once again. And the problem with that is, as the previous speaker had spoken about, and you guys mentioned when you were questioning him, is that now Suffolk County and Xerox has to come up with clever ways to issue tickets for things that normally wouldn't be issued. Such as being an inch over the white line, which I've heard from people that if your car's over an inch over the white line, you'll get a ticket. Big problem with that is that these white lines sometimes are behind the camera. So you stop at that white line, and then the camera doesn't show that you stopped, and you get a ticket. It's also, the biggest problem too, is that it's changing behaviors. And what's going on is, including with myself, every time that I approach an intersection, I'm looking up at the lights, hoping I don't get a ticket, instead of looking ahead. And that's a big problem. And one last thing is that the yellow light timings is not standardized. Because at different intersections, there's no question that I'll go to some with the red light camera, they're shorter, and others where they're much more easy to drive today.
Thank you.
Let's say someone can do the question.
Yeah, I'm glad that you talked about the process at the Traffic and Parking Violations Agency, and I'd like, if possible, when folks come up to testify, if they have stories about the traffic and the TIFA, please share those stories, because I think there's a lot of misinformation about when somebody can fight a ticket, when somebody shouldn't fight a ticket, what constitutes a stop, what doesn't constitute. I think we've all heard this 3-second thing. Meanwhile, I don't believe there's anything in the law that says when you stop at a stoplight before turning red, you must stop for 3 seconds. Yet it seems to me that everyone talks about the fact that they've been told by somebody that they have to stop for 3 seconds, and they didn't. So it seems, and in addition to the misinformation that seems to be out there as it relates to what constitutes a violation and what doesn't constitute a violation, I think there also seems to be an arbitrary and capricious nature to the way the Bureau, the agency, adjudicates or allows people to plead out on certain tickets. We've heard stories about how they said, well, look, this would be X number of points on your license, but if you give us X amount of money, we can drop those points down to whatever. And, I mean, it almost seems like extortion. You know, you shared a little bit about that, and if others, when they come up, if they could share those stories as well, that would be terrific.
Yes, absolutely. Like the other day, I accompanied my father who got his first ticket for the first time, and I was shocked at what the judge said to the people in the room. And there's another couple here that will also testify. They were there that day with us as well. And he told me, shot them down. People were not allowed to ask any questions. He actually was preaching to all of us, saying that that this was going to change people's behaviors.
Yeah, and it's not their responsibility to describe to you why the program is in place or what the benefits of the program may be. It's their responsibility to adjudicate the tickets that is in front of them.
What I'd like to add,
And to do so in a professional and courteous manner, by the way.
absolutely, sir. Thank you. And what I'd like to also add is that in both experiences, when I had my own experience and when I accompanied my dad, there's an individual that stands in the lobby who greets you with a smile, and then he brings you over to the computer and tries to convince you that you're wrong, you're guilty, and that you should pay. And says, you see, you just went through the red light, so why even bother going to, I thought right from the beginning, and this is back in 2010, I thought to myself, this is tyranny, and that is the right word to use, because we have no power, we have no say, we have no right to defend ourselves, and I lost faith in our government that day.
Thank you, Hector. Next is Marvin Adler, and on deck is Rosary Leota Adler.